Welcome to another edition of Your Impact Attack. That's right, it is Your Impact Attack, and it is brought to you by the VBC. It's funny because you're also in the VBC, so we're bringing it to you, and you're in it. And what is the VBC? What is the VBC, Brandon?
See the V, that is the vet. I think that's you, isn't it?
It's me. I'm the vet. And what about the B?
The B, that's the people we chat with, our buddies, right?
No. Close. Well, maybe this will help refresh your memory. If I reach through the internet and give you
Why
a
is my hand
yeah,
doing
what do you
this?
do? What is
What's
your
up?
hand doing? Psh, hot tag. Hot tag.
Ooh. Okay, now I remember something. Yeah, the B is me. I'm Brandon. So the
Yeah,
C is the people that we chat with. The chat. What's up, y'all?
that's right. We did it. We figured it out. We're all here. We're together on a Monday night, as we always are, smack dab in the middle of Monday Night Raw, because there's nothing they're doing that's so important that you can't pause that and hang out with us for a bit. So who has paused Raw and hang out with us for a bit?
Let's see. We got Lab Rat. We got Liz.
That's two L's.
That's two of the horsemen, two of the four horse.
But
See,
it's a
we got
dub. They're two L's, but they equal a dub.
then we got Javi Uchiha.
Mm-hmm.
Making sure we get all the stuff up here. And we got Gan, what's up, pal? We got MSG in the house. Whoop whoop.
All right. That's right. We have one of our own joining the sea. All right. So hello everyone. Um well, it looks like, just from everything I'm seeing, looking at my desk here and looking at the news items and the reviews and everything else, it looks like we're gonna have you in and out of here in not too much time because, you know, um, when it rains, it pours when it comes to wrestling. Sometimes you'll have 5 events on a weekend, and then other times there's just nothing. So, um, it's a drought right now, and nothing has happened, and there's nothing interesting going on, and yeah. So I don't foresee us taking too long, but let's see how it goes. We don't even have. I didn't even see a question from Chris Wendland. Did you?
I did not, unfortunately. I wish he would have given us one.
Yeah, this would have been a perfect day for a question. Even he wants to give us a question when they got 5 wrestling events going on in a weekend. But then nothing on a day like today. Well, um, I don't know. I didn't really see anything major. I did see one interesting news item and then something related to it just right before we went on the air. So we'll start with this. Apparently, according to uh this is well, it's Wrestling Inc. reporting, but they got the story from The Takedown, which I don't know what that is. I'm gonna click that link live. What's The Takedown? The Sports Illustrated?
It's the hottest new publication rising through the rings, pal.
Yeah,
Hot new dirt sheet on the block.
that's right. They're standing on the corner with their little newsy cap yelling, "Extra, extra." Read all about it. And what they're doing, I'll just click them rather than read what Wrestling Inc. had to say, summarizing it. But anyway, the headline says AEW and Jon Moxley sued for negligence, civil assault, and battery by a production crew member. Let's dig into this, guys. A production crew member who has worked with All Elite Wrestling since 2019 has filed a civil lawsuit against the company and AEW World Champion Jon Moxley. In parentheses, Jonathan Good, his shoot name. Shoot means real. In it, he alleges various degrees of negligence by AEW and Moxley alongside civil assault and battery against Moxley concerning an incident on AEW Dynamite in 2023. 2023. when do they have a month with that? It's about maybe 2 years ago. Lawsuit was filed against the parties on May 30th in the Wayne County Circuit Court by Christopher Dispenza, a longtime wrestling and entertainment production crew member who started doing contract work with AEW in 2019. So basically from the beginning. Dispenza is not a direct employee of AEW, provided services to Broadcast Service Group, which supplies crew for AEW. His legal team, Rate Law PLC, told the Takedown on SI he has not done work with the AEW since December 5th, 2024, and was demoted by Broadcast Service Group to the role of carpenter without explanation. As of Monday morning, it had not yet received a response to the filing from the promotion. All right, so already in this paragraph that I just read, none of that shit was included in the Wrestling Inc. In the Wrestling Inc. write-up. I'll just tell you that right now. Let me go back to it.
Yeah, those are kind of some important details there.
Yeah. Now, to be fair, they, Wrestling Inc. is just reporting the situations, not so much as like copying and pasting the other guy's article, but still, and they do provide a link to it, which obviously I clicked, but still, some of this information, it just goes to show you, like, if you, my point of saying that, bring that up is, for the people that go to the wrestling websites to find the news, if you guys don't click the link, that's almost just like the headline reading. You're just going to read the headline and then you don't have any information. So then when you have your analysis of what's being talked about, you are ignorant of the facts of the situation such as they are. Like, as much as we can trust anything to be a fact, right? So really, if any of these things, I'm sorry.
And how much fine print of like important details in the fine print are there in the actual article you have to read and get to?
Exactly. So if you guys read stuff on wrestling news websites, I highly suggest you click the links to the sources. If you have anything to say or think about them strongly, at least be sure to sort of inform yourself about this. So let me go on. Dispenza claims he suffered severe neck and shoulder injuries as a result of being shoved to the ground unexpectedly by Moxley during a match with Kenny Omega. Dispenza alleges in the lawsuit that the incident resulted in him requiring cervical fusion surgery, shoulder surgery, and treatment for other unspecified injuries. Why aren't they specified? Dispenza said the injuries occurred on the May 10th, 2023 edition of AEW Dynamite in Detroit. Okay. Here we have our date, May 10th. So that's over 2 years ago. Let's back up a second before we continue reading. I'm connecting some dots here. Now, first of all, I'm sympathetic with Mr. Dispenza on his need for surgery, the injuries, and such things. However, this is, again, you look at the facts. He said the injuries occurred May 10th, 2023. Okay, 2 years ago. Lawsuit filed May 30th this year. So 2 years later. However, not done work with AEW since December 5th, 2024. Meaning he suffered these horrible injuries and continued to work for AEW for another year and a half.
Yeah, that's kind of throwing a red flag on that one.
Yes, and then and also this key sentence here. Demoted by Broadcast Service Group to the role of carpenter without explanation. Demotion. Lawsuit. Year and a half later. Let's continue reading. Okay. So, May 10, 2023, Moxley faced Omega in a cage match, which ended up spilling to the outside because, of course, it did. We need to put these guys in a cage. Oh my God, they're out of the cage. Yeah. Moxley went to grab a screwdriver to use on Omega because, of course, he did. That's their signature weapon in AEW, a screwdriver. I don't know. You know what? I'm disappointed because I don't know if screwdriver is one of the weapons you can use in AEW Fight Forever. You go into the ring and get a weapon. I don't know if screwdriver is one of them. That's a obvious missed opportunity there. Maybe that's why, they struggled to meet sales expectations. Okay, so Moxley went to grab a screwdriver to use on Omega, and in doing so, shoved Dispensa to the ground. The lawsuit claims Moxley was supposed to, and we do have, there's like an embedded YouTube link, so I could see this shove if I wanted. The lawsuit claims Moxley was supposed to only grab the screwdriver, and Dispensa took an unplanned fall as a result of being shoved. His legal team alleges this is an example of civil assault and battery, claiming that in allegedly deviating from the script, Moxley either showed an intent to harm Dispensa or, at a minimum, a complete disregard for whether harm was a result. And that right there is a quote. At a minimum, a complete disregard for whether harm was a result. Okay. The lawsuit alleges that Moxley had a history of disciplinary issues before this incident involving other people while under AEW's employee agency and or contractual relationship. That's a quote. It also says that, quote, past disciplinary offenses by Moxley include a documented history of unpredictability as well as a lack of control by defendant AEW, all of which were known or should have been known to defendant AEW at the time of this assault, end quote. However, multiple high-level AEW sources with knowledge of Moxley's working history with the company and not speaking in an official capacity on AEW's behalf told the Takedown on SI they were unaware of any history of disciplinary issues with Moxley, noting he is respected within the promotion by talent and management. One referred to him as a, quote, locker room leader and disputed the characterization of Moxley given in the lawsuit.
The first thing I thought of was that, okay, if they're talking about there's been disciplinary action taken against him for this kind of behavior, so surely you can produce those documents, right?
Surely. Because AEW has extensive documents on all their disciplinary history. Also, just anecdotally, the problems with Jon Moxley, as I understand them, really don't have to stem from his professionalism as far as that, but more like him taking care of himself and being in rehab and everything, his own personal drug and alcohol, whatever, not so much like that he was a menace at work or anything like that, other than maybe his bad creative getting, pushed to the forefront. The Rocky 3 creative and stuff, maybe that kind of stuff. But yeah, I don't, of all the criticisms I could level at Moxley throughout his career, I have never really had any reason to, question like his, professional character other than, just objective opinion of how good he is at his job. Not so much like, what this guy's alleging basically, but I don't know him. So anyway, let's see. And then they have like a little picture here of the state of Michigan. This is the filing, a little bit of the filing, a little photo of the filing. It also claims Moxley and AEW are responsible for exhibiting gross negligence, suggesting, quote, by going off script and violently shoving plaintiff, who was only a crew member, to the ground, Moxley demonstrated a substantial lack of concern for whether a severe injury would result to a production crew member at the event. In taking no precautions or preventative measures to protect production staff, defendant AEW's actions likewise show a reckless disregard for the safety of production staff, which goes beyond simple inadvertence. End quote. Uh, the complaint also accuses AEW of negligence in hiring and training Moxley.
Wait,
Excuse me, what?
training?
Training?
Let's see. He was on the Indies in the mid late 2000s. Went through the WWE developmental program. Was a multi-time WWE champion. Yeah. What AEW training?
Maybe it's that that orientation. You know, you got to go through there to, you know, like when you go, okay, this is where we shoot baskets and play video games and all that stuff. Maybe that's like part. He didn't take part in all that, because then he would have known, you know, hey, you're supposed to just chill out and shoot baskets and play video games, not shove crew members. The complaint also accuses AEW of negligence in hiring and training Moxley. A portion of Count I claims AEW has a responsibility to, quote, exert reasonable control over its employees, agents, and or contract individuals to ensure the safety of other performers, production crew, and the general audience, end quote. The 39-year-old Moxley has been wrestling since 2004 and has worked for not only AEW, but WWE, TNA, New Japan Pro Wrestling, and other major promotions throughout his career, as you point out. Dispensa's legal representation tells the Takedown on SI that he claims AEW upper management was aware of the incident, but he says he never discussed it with them. He alleges to have met with Tony Khan and AEW General Counsel Chris Peck about potential full-time employment opportunities in the months after the incident, but acknowledged there was never a prior conversation about the injuries he says he sustained. So, in summary, he was talking about getting work, but not anything that happened to him during his course of employment. He's trying to get more employment, but he's not talking about work or not talking about injuries or anything.
Right, not going to HR department, not going to what was that one woman's name? Megha.
I don't know. Hey, I never know what her name is. I just hear people say it.
Yeah, and go to her saying, "Hey, you know, one of your talent did this to me. We need to discuss something."
Yeah. Yeah, I'm clearly going to, in the future, I'm going to need surgeries and his attorney also noted Dispenza said he never filed an official incident report that night because he had another job on tour he had to get back to, but he claimed they spoke with 3 individuals that evening about getting hurt. Okay. His legal team said Dispenza relayed his alleged injuries to ringside physician Dr. Michael Sampson, director of performance psychology Chris Manzione, and a member of the athletic training staff. So that's the 3 people, I guess. Dispenza claimed Sampson was upset over the situation, saying that all stunts or interactions outside the ring must be approved by Sampson beforehand. Ooh, I never heard that one before. That's an interesting tidbit. I'll remember that. I'll put that in the pocket for later. Dr. Sampson has to approve all actions outside the ring. Okay.
Get Miss Sampson.
That's right. Sampson. This guy has no hair. Like, Sampson has a very short haircut. So, like, for the record, he's probably not very strong either. So Jon Moxley better not shove him at any point, unless he approves it. Sampson was near Dispenza when the incident occurred. He said Sampson asked him to go see the training staff. Dispenza's representation told the Takedown on SI that he was eventually told he would not be treated any longer by the AEW athletic training staff and that the incident was never acknowledged again. It also said Dispenza and Moxley never discussed the incident beyond briefly after the segment. I'm sorry to laugh, but well, no, I'm not really. I have the right to laugh at this, but I was just imagining the conversations like, hey, you shoved me, man. I'm sorry, man. What else was that going to be? What else was the conversation going to be?
You did this to me. I did this. You're like, I got this going on. I got to get these surgeries. And
remember when you shoved me? That was crazy. Yeah, that's crazy. What do you want? You want from? Looks like Liv got hurt in her match. Did she get shoved down? Did someone shove her down? Did they clear it with Dr. Sampson? If not, I don't want to hear about it. Dispensa's team said he is looking to obtain compensation for injuries suffered due to actions of the wrestler and the company he worked for. That's a quote. Injuries suffered due to the actions of the wrestler and the company he worked for. And the horse he rode in on. Okay, no, that's not part of the quote. That's my. And the filing says the quote amount in controversy exceeds $25,000. It claims he incurred damages including but not limited to medical expenses, disability, permanent and serious disfigurement, wage loss and lost earnings capacity, pain and suffering, exemplary damages for mental and emotional anxiety. Exemplary has two E's in it, but they're in the wrong place. So SI, proofread your shit. Humiliation and or indignity, diminution. I guess that's like the state of being diminutive. To business reputation and opportunities. They made it smaller. They made his business reputation and opportunities smaller. Diminution. I've never in my English reading life seen that word before.
It's like the Generation Z no cap for legalese.
Yep. Other economic and non-economic damages not yet known, and all other damages available under Michigan law. The takedown on SI reached out to an AEW spokesperson regarding the lawsuit and the allegations detailed in this piece, to which they replied, quote, AEW does not comment on pending litigation, which you should already know. And just in case anybody's interested, Moxley is scheduled to defend the AEW World Championship against Hangman Adam Page at AEW All In on July 12th. A status conference for the lawsuit is currently scheduled for August 29th. Well, there you have it. That was many magnitudes longer and full of more information than the Wrestling Inc. article. So once again, I urge all of you who care about wrestling news and think you need to keep yourself abreast of all the latest stories, especially people, and since MSG is here, people that do, I don't know, the Monday locker room, the Friday locker room, just a thought to make sure that you have all your information ready and available before we espouse our opinions. I include myself in this too. I should really take more care to, inform myself of these sort of things. What do you think of all that, Brandon? What do you make of all that?
Well, one thing I'm wondering too is what kind of the way the laws are structured in Michigan. How would they award a plaintiff should they win a lawsuit like this? That was one thing that came up that I started thinking of towards the end. So that's still kind of fresh in my mind. And while I do think it's a little bit frivolous with some of the arguments they're making, there is evidence they could point to that that's appeared on air that he could have a solid case. Like remember when the stunt with Darby Allin and the glass, and you see glass flying out into the crowd?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, generally, in cases like that or cases like this, it's probably just going to be a settlement. That's probably what the guy is seeking, because whatever's happened, let's say he got shoved down. Let's say it hurt. Let's say, he complains to the three people or whatever, and then he goes on about his life for the next however many months, continuing to work and all this other stuff. If during the course of that time, he, for whatever reason, incurs this sort of like wear and tear on his body, and that either aggravates something or, causes something, that may or may not be related to the initial shoving, he can still go back in an attempt at a lawsuit to use that as an origin point, even if it has nothing to do with anything that's happened during that time, because that's a long space of time to be traveling around doing work, especially when you're employed for wrestling companies as like some sort of extra production. That means that you necessarily will have to travel to cities and stuff to do things, I guess. Or is it only when they show up in Michigan or in the surrounding area, and then they bring in this guy to do that when he comes there? Who knows? But the key point there, I think, was the fact that they pointed out that he got a demotion in his whatever his company was that employs him. So that just tells me, like, either even giving him the benefit of the doubt, let's say he's not doing this as a frivolous lawsuit, like I'm gonna get AEW. Maybe he's doing it as like, well, I have no choice because I'm not making enough money to pay my bills, or I'm not able to meet my standard of living or things like that. So if I can get a settlement from them, then that will help me. Even if he legitimately incurred these injuries outside of the incident, because let's face it, it's highly unlikely that if Jon Moxley shoves you, I mean, you've seen how shitty his work is. If he shoves you, you're probably not going to need cervical neck surgery, I don't think. That's going to be a pretty rare case, and certainly you're not going to be walking around telling people, hey, that sucked when I got shoved down. You're going to be, like, carried out. So it obviously didn't stem from right there. You're going to need a neck surgery after a shoving. So whether that was just the beginning of a domino effect or whatever, or if something completely different happened in his life and he's not disclosing that and he just wants to blame AEW for it because they can give him money and him falling off a ladder in his garage can't, then I could understand wanting to do that. But I think the key point there is like that demotion. And I think the defense for AEW, if they don't settle, is going to tear them apart over that. Like that's going to be the attacking point. So, but most likely he's counting. It's like a bluff. Like he's counting on them to just settle. Right.
And Tony's shown he'll settle.
Right. Especially if you ask for, if you're asking for like a not unreasonable amount. Like if you're saying, oh, I need $25,000 for my medical and, everything else that I need and whatever Michigan will give me, like they're going to look at that and be like, okay, well, let's not find out what Michigan wants to give this guy. Let's just give him this much, and that should be good because that's clearly what he wants. Like, I'm sure that after this many years of litigation in this country, everybody kind of knows what's up in these situations, whether it's spoken or not, right?
Oh, I'm hurt. Oh, I want 10 million. We still had a quote right now for 10,000.
Mm-hmm. I guess I didn't need it that bad. Yeah. Yeah. No, that is it. And yeah, Liz says it's almost always cheaper to settle, and that's true, at least as far as I understand. And because you're always going to be, because you're basically making a deal, like it's like haggling. Like you want this much, we want to pay nothing. Let's meet in the middle. Okay, I'll take it. Because if you don't, both of you, defendant and plaintiff, are going to court and you're going to pay all the people that have to listen to your bullshit for however long it takes. And that includes the lawyers themselves who need a cut. So even if you win more money, you're going to have to pay some of that money. But you'll pay substantially less to your own lawyer if you get a settlement, right? Yep. A judgment can set a precedent. So that's why this is another one of those reasons why, as we continue to look, and there's updates like here and there, we don't really talk about them, but there's updates in the McMahon lawsuit, the Janelle Grant lawsuit all the time, like usually once a week, it seems like there's a new update, right? But I'm sure that a lot of people are, if you're looking at what's going on, you're following that, what you're seeing is they're continually trying to, the McMahon side in their public statements will say they will proclaim their innocence vehemently denies, in a very Vince McMahon language type of way. They vehemently deny any wrongdoing, yet they're constantly moving to keep this away from a trial. They're constantly moving to move this to arbitration. They want this private. They don't want this public. They don't want, anything to be seen. Even though they vehemently deny everything and are completely innocent, and this woman is crazy, still, we don't want anybody to hear the facts of this case, so can we please? And the fact that the defense is not like, no, we're not going to do that. We're not, it's, like I always say, look at the actions of the people involved. Look at, what do we say about, or what did I say? I don't remember exactly what you said, but what did I say about Johnny Ace and his, his weak ass, character constitution, and all this stuff back then when this first got announced? He's already flip-flopped. First, he's a victim. Then he teams with Vince McMahon. Then he turns on Vince McMahon. All I said that whole time, look at what the people are doing, not what they're saying. Look what they're doing. And that will tell you, that will give you the best chance to look at what the moral, to make some sense of the moral ambiguity of the situation. Like, these people are telling on themselves by what they're doing. Forget what their statement says. Their prepared statements. Look at their actions. Look what they're doing.
Johnny Ace clearly trying to find it. Like, okay, what's the best deal for me? What's my best way out of this?
Right. And why would you do that if you were innocent? You know that you got your ass nailed to the wall. And that's why you have to get down somehow. I can't hire this guy from AEW to pull the nail out of the wall that I'm nailed to because he has a broken neck. So I have to figure out another way to do it. Yeah. So that's what I look at. I look at the actions of the people and the facts of the situation as such that you know them, and that will tell you everything you need to know. This guy says, hey, John Moxley shoved me. I'm hurt. He's caused me a lot of pain. I did continue to work for a long period of time up until I was demoted, though. Now I need to file a lawsuit. I mean, seems pretty simple. Now, apparently, and this is the follow-up that I said I had for this, but I actually saw this like right before we went on the air, and that was because our own Kaz was looking at some stuff on the internet where Ricochet takes a tweet that is talking about this lawsuit and reposts it with a comment that says, "We live in a world of pussies."
Hey, you know what? To be fair, he's trying to play the heel character. I got to give him credit for trying.
That's right. Oh no, I'm on board with it. And
I thought that was a ball. I thought it was kind of a ballsy move on his part to do that.
Right. Well, how do you be a heel in 2025?
You got to push that envelope.
Right. And how do you push the envelope? You obviously, nobody believes when you take screwdrivers and stab people with it. That's not a heel move anymore. So now we have to look at things that work the marks to get people upset and get heat, right? So Kaz like reposted that and posted the tweet, apologize, dive, repeat thing, but I don't really think this fits into that category, Kaz. I'm sorry. I think Ricochet knows exactly what he's doing here.
Did he delete it?
I don't know. I don't follow Ricochet. Let me see.
If it's still up there, it doesn't count as a tweet, apologize, dive, repeat.
Maybe he's anticipating. And we're doing a live. Repost it, making it So, when was this posted? I don't even know that.
I would imagine the last 24, 36 hours.
Well, anyway, this is no, maybe it is deleted. But that's okay. Even if he knew he had to delete it, he could still post it, and he knows people are going to screen cap it. So.
Okay, yeah, he did delete it. Yeah, it was deleted. So yeah, it does count.
And yes, Liz, his there's somebody made a picture of Ricochet, and they put the AEW logo and the One Piece Marines logo on the other side of him when he's wearing that coat. So anyway, so yeah, that's basically the news that I have. Do you have anything?
Nah, not really, man.
Well, damn it. Then I think we should put on the sifting gloves and oh wait, that's a different show. Well, it still applies. Let's talk about TNA Impact. So this took place on what, June 13th? 12th? Okay. 12th. We're going to do a little ketchup packet for Against All Odds. We still got a little bit of sauce in the bottle there.
Yeah, I gotta go buy the bottle now. I can't do packets anymore. So I got that air fryer, man. I'm sorry. It's been.
I understand. That's not even. Is that even ketchup, or is that like some barbecue sauce?
No, it's actually it's ketchup. It's Kroger ketchup, but still ketchup.
I got it. From Tempe, Arizona. I don't know. I don't think so. Is it? Was it?
Yeah, it was, because that was where Against All Odds was.
Ah, okay. Well, Tempe, Arizona. So earlier in the day, Santino stops Santana from entering the building, because if he enters that building, he's gonna get fired because of the heinous attack he committed, which was, eerily, it sounds very, if I recall, it sounds very similar to what we were just discussing with Jon Moxley. I think he shoved a guy down.
Yeah, one of the trainers checking on him, saying like, you can't go out there tonight, or you can't something about you're concussed, you can't go out there. And he got pissed off and shoved the guy down, and then it led to him getting fined and suspended.
Right. Now, again, remember, we've had kidnappings, we've had stabbings on this show, multiple stabbings, concealed weapons.
People thrown in front of trains.
Yep. A lot of things here. A lot of things on this show. But Santana, you crossed the line, pal. Pun intended. How dare you ever grab somebody by the collar here? Now, does this, when a security hits the ring and the baby faces just start beating the shit out of all of them, isn't that way worse than what Santana did?
You put it like that, yeah.
And doesn't that happen once or maybe even thrice a week on every wrestling program, when security comes out and says, no, please, and then they just get pummeled mercilessly by our heroes?
Can't argue with that.
Okay. But if Santana shows up for work with his rolling case or whatever, he's going to get fired. Don't walk in the building or you're fired. What? Nobody's going to offer a defense to this? Anybody want to stick
No.
up for TNA's creative?
No, but
Chat?
like when you put it in that argument, there really is no defending it. You got to keep it consistent across the board.
Okay, well, maybe this is a brand new protocol that they've implemented since Santana grabbed a trainer. Like maybe now, from now on, you won't be allowed to beat up security. So we'll keep an eye on that on this episode as my notes here. And we'll see if anybody needs to get fucking suspended and fined for anything that happens. Okay. Now, also, he prevents Santana from entering, but he also ensures that Robert Stone is exiting because this security is carrying him out physically, lifting him off the ground and carrying him out of the building, kicking and screaming. So that's funny. That's entertainment, pal.
Such good shit.
So Santino enters, gets in the ring, and he makes some announcements. He announces Leon Slater versus Moose at Slammiversary because, of course, we're going with the ongoing. I think this is the third time, or maybe the fourth time. I've lost track where you pin Moose in a tag match.
I can actually name them: Zachary Wentz, Jeff Hardy, Eric Young.
Okay, so now the fourth person to pin Moose in a tag team match and get an X Division title shot is Leon Slater.
And I think he ends up going over. They've been.
You think this is it?
I really do. They've been building him. They've been pushing him. And if there's anybody to give Leon Slater that match to get him to the next level, it's Moose.
Well, we definitely know Moose could give it to him. I mean, we've had a very similar situation on a random Impact that I still think about from time to time, the match with Kevin Knight. So
that was a great match.
That was a great match. So it really proves that that Moose can handle these type of situations. But I think it would really mean more if, you know, he just wasn't pinned all these times leading up to whatever. And if you were going to pull the trigger on Leon Slater winning the X Division title in a big moment for him in his young career.
Ultimate X.
Well, no, I was going to say, you would think that you wouldn't have him beat Moose here. Because what's beating Moose again going to do? You would think that perhaps you would put some doubt on it by him not pinning Moose in a tag team match to make you think he wouldn't do it. So that when he does do it, it's like he did it. Right? But if you beat Moose and then you beat him again, it's like, well, of course. He already beat him. This is the problem with this lazy thought process of like, we'll just have him lose a tag match and then win the title defense that you've done for all these people. Like, why would you keep repeating this formula? It completely dilutes everybody. It dilutes everybody.
Yeah, and now when you put it like that, now I'm even thinking about, like, if he does go over, it's like, oh, yep, he went over. Cool.
Yeah, you're dampening everything. You're dampening the pop, you're dampening, but I guess nobody cares. I guess nobody just cares about that kind of stuff anymore. I don't know what everybody's problem is, but I mean, if I'm trying to look at this from even just a purely entertainment standpoint, I can't. Because this sticks out so bad. It's so blatant. Like, anybody that pays attention, if you're just a fan paying attention, you're still at this point, you're like, God, Moose, it seems like Moose keeps losing tag matches and then defending his X Division title against that guy. Like, it's the same thing. Even your favorite food every single night, you're just going to get tired of it. And this ain't even good. Anyway. So Santino announces that. He announces that elimination thing they do, the 8-4-1 match for the women. We need a contender for Masha Slamovich. And he personally introduces the inspiration. And here comes the inspiration.
I learned recently, too. I did not know this. You know who sings their theme song?
Who?
Harley Cameron.
That's funny. And perfect. It's just another little dig that WWE can get, you know? All right, so here they come. We go to break. We come back. It's them versus Missa Kate and Brittany Brooks. I had to, keep my ear to the commentary to hear their names because they didn't get an intro for sure.
I don't remember if they got a lower third.
No, they didn't. Nope. No, I had to listen to Tom casually say who it was. So it's a get over match for the inspiration. It's very basic. They just do their little kind of halfway goofy stuff, but then you get their finisher, the idolizer, which I'm not even going to attempt to describe because it was just a bunch of things and it involved somebody taking a face bump. So the idolizer, they call that the idolizer. Yeah. How did you feel that the inspiration looked in their in-ring return here for TNA?
I thought they were all right. I mean, they clearly need a little bit of time, a little bit more time in the ring, shake off that rust, get a little bit used to the calluses and the, it's getting in the rhythm of things.
That's true. They do need to. But to be fair,
yeah, life is kind of a thing.
Yeah, life is kind of a thing, but also, their awkwardness plays into their character. Even when they were at their peak, they were still like a little bit like that's part of the charm, like they're comedic characters. So because you're a comedic character, it's okay if everything you do doesn't look like, Eddie Guerrero or whatever. So we get a Hardy's promo, or I should really just say it's a Matt Hardy promo, and then Jeff at the end says, I couldn't have said it better myself. Yeah, you're right. You couldn't. Not that it was some high bar, but no, you're right. You couldn't. I'll give you that, Jeff. I'll give you that. Okay. Next is First Class Penthouse. We do get to see a little bit of their NXT adventures. We show a little recap of that. And then they bring up some kid named Pedro. And at first I thought, like AJ Francis had $100 bill and he's showing it to the camera like this is some tremendous amount of money, like one $100 bill, which that could get you like a box of Hot Pockets these days. I don't know. It's not much money in today's economy, but he does have one. And he's like, this kid comes up and I'll be honest, I'm not really listening to what they're saying, but looking at it, what it looks like to me is they're about to do the old $1 million man thing, like bounce this basketball or whatever with this kid.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. Except, what did the kid do to not earn the $100?
Nothing really. They just said, "Screw it, kid. We're not giving it to you anyway. Go bye-bye," and send him away. They just said,
right. Right. So you couldn't even set up a rip-off $1 million man thing. You just were like, "Hey, kid, you can't have any money. Get out of here." What the fuck was that? What the fuck was that?
Yeah, at least like when he had the dribble in the basketball, they kicked the ball away right before he hit the last one.
Yes. You imagine $1 million man at Virgil's standing up there looking like, pun intended, $1 million. Virgil with all guns out, jacked. $1 million man with his glittery suit, everything. You know, Mean Gene probably there somewhere, up on that pedestal that's out in the middle of the crowd, and they bring a person up and do all this stuff. Can you imagine they go through all that and spend all this TV time? They call a kid up there and be like, "Hey, I was gonna do something, but get out of here." What? What? All right. So that happens, and then they bring out Trick Williams as their guest, and they start trying to get people to chant "first class trick" instead of "whoop that trick." It's "first class trick," and this is lowering Trick Williams' stock by quite a lot to be out here, and whatever he says in the promo that he says is not anything of substantial value. This whole thing seemed like it was designed to waste everybody's time. Like, we literally need you to kill TV time, so go out there and improv this. And this is what we get when you tell people to do that. The sad part is it probably was scripted, and this is still what we got. This is one of the most pointless things I've seen the TNA do in a long time. Now, I hated that thing that Spitfire did with the cardboard. But this was just like at a level of indifference that borders on hatred. What did I miss?
Nothing really. I just wish they would have did a concrete establishment of, we're officially a group now. Here's our name. Here's our mission statement. Here's what we're trying to do. We didn't get any of that.
I guess if that's what you wanted, then AJ Francis alluded that Trick Williams looks good with TNA gold, and they would look good with some NXT gold. That's basically what they were saying. You running NXT, now you're running TNA. We've been running TNA, now we should run NXT. So please look forward to more first class on NXT, I guess.
And with the as a kind of concession with TNA, I could see them going, okay, if you let our guy get your TNA world title, we'll let one of your guys get the NXT tag titles.
Yeah, somehow I don't see that happening either. I see WWE being like, no. No. They've always got that look, who's doing who a favor here card that they can pull. And
True.
What evidence do we have to the contrary?
That's very true. There is. I mean, the only thing I really point to is them giving ECW airtime in 97, 96. That's really it.
Yeah, and you're going back to that, but I was just talking about NXT and TNA only. Like, what has NXT given TNA other than the minutes? Like,
I guess I'm just speaking from the hopeful part of my mind, where I'm thinking both, or at least the people in NXT would, some of the younger people, I think isn't Borash involved in NXT?
I mean, he was. I don't know if he is anymore. He may have moved on to AAA full time.
Yeah, I there's part of me that hopes that some of the because everything's being kind of compartmentalized with the way the structure is now, that it'd be kind of some independent thinkers in NXT that'd be like, hey, let's, rather than keep up these old pace of UC, let's create a great product across two brands. That's my
as long as WWE ends up looking good. As long as WWE ends up looking good. I think the only thing you can really say is that they didn't have Ethan Page beat Joe Hendry that time. That's basically the only thing you can say, as far as them, whatever. I don't know. So, anyways, the system approaches Jason Hotch, who's warming up in the back. He's got a match, and they're telling him he's got a match with Leon Slater. So they're like, hey, take out Leon Slater. And Moose is like, maybe we'll get you one of these. We'll get you a nice replica system ring, which is a good line. And then and then JDC suggests that possibly he could get a spot in the system just for winning this match or taking out Leon Slater, like a bounty. So, little side note. Let's say, these type of things happen where somebody will say, "Hey, I need you to take out so and so," right? Like this happens basically every other week in wrestling. Somebody says, "I need you to take out so and so from me." Then they go in there and they just have a regular wrestling match. It's never like the guy is like attempting to maim the other guy. Like, I don't know, maybe grab a screwdriver from a production assistant and shove him down really hard and then like try to gouge his eyes out or something. It's always just like they just have a wrestling match.
Yeah, or if you're gonna keep it in the context of a wrestling match, try to injure the dude's leg, try to snap his ankle, try to break a limb, do something, or injure something.
No, let's tie up. Let's do a collar and elbow. Especially when there's actually like a cash bounty, and they're trying to win the wrestling match. Like, no, just get something and get DQ'd and try to kill him real quick and get the money. Like, why would you bother having a regular match? It's whatever. Anyways, so Order 4 comes through. There's an awkward stare down, and then they continue to pass through. Then Fat Eddie and the system walk over to a place that's slightly off camera because I guess Matt Cardona was just standing against the wall the whole time staring at everybody. And Fat Eddie's like, "What are you staring at?" And I mean, he didn't really say that, but I'm trying to make it make sense. So,
what are you looking at, butthead?
Yeah. Say out of your mom for me. Yeah, so Fat Eddie says, "Hey, you think you're so cool? Well, you're always ready. Well, I'll challenge you to a tag match next week, but nobody likes you, so you're not going to be able to find a partner," or whatever. It's whatever he says. So even though he's always ready, the challenge is for next week. Just to make things perfectly clear, the heels are giving him an entire week, even though we know this is all being taped at the same time. Yes, Lab Rat. Fat Eddie thought he was a hot dog cart. Yes. And he is the color of a hot dog. Like, Matt Cardona's tan it does make his skin resemble a cooked hot dog. So I can completely understand Eddie walking over from a distance and being disappointed as the mirage of a hot dog materializes into Zack Ryder instead. So I can understand him being angry, but maybe he shouldn't give him a week to find a partner. Maybe he should just say, "I want to challenge you one-on-one since I already have, like 5 other people that I could have my back," and or just beat him up right there. Like, why do you need to have a match with him if you don't like him? There's lots of logical questions that you could ask based on this whole thing. This is what Disco Inferno always jokes about, like the coffee match where you're both at the coffee machine and you bump into each other. So let's have a match. This is that without the coffee machine. It doesn't even have the hot dog cart. It has nothing. This is an exercise in laziness. That's a phrase I just invented. Please feel free to use it. It's great. See, because the juxtaposition of laziness and exercise makes it funny. So you could say that. Tell your friends at work. See how many of them get it.
Kind of like Conan's "You Have the Right to Be Wrong."
Yes. I respect your right to be wrong. So then, we're not done, because as the system leaves, we know Brian Myers, Fat Myers, is best friends with his buddy Matt Cardona. So they have a look at each other. They look at each other. They're smirking and looking at each other like, "Hey, we sell wrestling figures together. And yes, guys, you owe me that Chris Bay Bendy, so get the fuck on it."
Get the vetted Chris Bay Bendy, pal.
Sons of bitches. This is for charity. You can't even fulfill an order, huh? I expect this from Power Town Wrestling figures, but not from you guys. Anyway. Now it's time for everybody's favorite spot on the show, the gimmick injury report. I know you've all been waiting. Brandon, don't do a spit take here, because we got some funny ones this week. Okay. Heather by Elegance. Chipped tooth. Cleared. She's cleared, guys. Don't worry. She doesn't have to get in the ring with that chipped tooth. We know that Tessa Blanchard's TMJ has been day to day. But because we have a match tonight, she's cleared. She's cleared. Cleared of TMJ. It's not going to lock up on her in there. She'll be good.
I was almost afraid there for a second for her.
Oh, yeah. I mean, especially, and you've seen her jaw. So it's like really a scary situation. And you get something of that size and prominence and durability. Like, if that was to lock in place, oof. Yeah. May never get it open again.
No more hard foods, pal.
Oh. And Jason Hotch is, he's got bruising from his match with Ali. He's cleared. Everyone's cleared. We're all cleared.
That's turned into a full-blown rib at this point. Like chipped tooth, bruising. Yeah, what I once liked as a good gimmick is jump the shark now.
Well, it was never good, but the idea was sound. If you wanted to do something like this, but you just maybe don't have to do it every week. I know why they're doing it. So let's be real. They're doing it because they're being sponsored by some company, whatever that thing is that they always put on their BioFlex or whatever.
Yeah, BioFlex.
So it's just an excuse to get them in there, and they got to come up with this stuff. But to them, they're treating it like a rib. Like, I could definitely see, like, well, because we don't really care to do this or want to do this, but we have to do this, so let's make a rib out of it. You know, that's fine.
Like, I just think something like that would actually be a pretty decent plot device where if you need to explain why somebody's off on the shelf for real, you can use that while also doing kayfabe injuries.
Yeah. And, but instead we get stuff like no injuries, cleared. I'm glad Santino was cleared of no injuries. All right, so it's time for Hotch versus Slater. During Slater's entrance, they put a little box. They put the box with him doing a promo. I wasn't listening to what he said. I'm sure he said he was going to beat the ass out of Jason Hotch or something. You feel me? So, if I'm not way off, then that's what he said. They had a match. What'd you think of the match? Anything to comment on the match here?
Yeah, to be honest, I did not catch much. I was more kind of going back and forth between that and chat. And
did you get the sense that Jason Hotch was trying to earn a spot in the system with his performance here?
Maybe a little bit. I don't know where they're going with this whole thing, or what even the point was that like Order 4 in the system. Like they're both like heel factions. Like, what has either done to get any of us to cheer for one over the other?
Not a bad question. These are questions that probably should have been asked in meetings that were had by the company. And if they were, they should have had more satisfactory answers than what leads to this.
Yeah, like if we're going to do like an Order 4 versus the system, okay, we should plan this out. Like, let's build and turn one of them babyface and then feud with the other one.
Makes sense to me. Anyway, Swan 450. As if you thought anything else was going to happen. As if you thought Jason Hotch was going to win a match. Then we get Tessa with Gia and no music underneath. Tessa talks herself up and puts Gia down. Where are they going with this? A match with Gia?
I mean, they do get a new backstage interview, so this could be a way to kind of phase her out.
I hope they don't phase her out into the ring.
I mean,
maybe they're just phasing her out with Ace Austin.
Or maybe she has a match on the way out. Who knows?
Maybe Tessa will jump her and then she won't. Like her injury report will say, you know, Gia Miller, bruises, released.
Retired.
Yeah, retired, released. Yeah, retired. Yeah, retired. That's even better. Yes, book it. Get some heat for Tessa.
If you're going to make a joke out of it, go all the way.
Yeah, let's do it. Well, it's time for our 841. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the 841, let me explain the rules. It starts as an 8-person tag team match. The winner of the 8-person tag team match, those people become a fatal 4-way. And the winner of that match becomes the number 1 contender for the Knockouts Championship, currently held by Masha Slamovich. In one corner, we have Rosemary, Danny Luna, Tessa Blanchard, Zaya Brookside, newly dark Zaya sometimes, versus Jody Threat. Oh my God, Jody Threat on the other side of the ring from her old tag team partner, Danny Luna. What's going to happen here? Tasha Steelz, Indy Hartwell, and the recently returned Killer Kelly, if you will. There's your teams. Did you have a prediction before this match started on how you thought it was going to go when you just basically saw all 8 people lined up?
Well, considering what we saw at Against All Odds and Killer Kelly's return, I'm like, yeah, she's obviously the favorite to win this.
Well, that is a very interesting take. It turns out Indy Hartwell will pin Rosemary, and so the team with Killer Kelly on it is going on to a Fatal 4-Way version, in which Killer Kelly steals a pin from Indy Hartwell. Indy Hartwell had Tasha Steelz beat, just like Ali does. And Killer Kelly sneaks in with a knee and takes the pin. Yeah. So Masha Slamovich is watching this, and Gia's like, hey, how do you feel about this person that you know getting a title shot? And Masha says that she's going to have to put her in her place, and her place is on her knees being my bitch. I assume literally and figuratively, because she used to
Give me
lead her around with
HLA, pal.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely like suggested LA. I don't know if it was H. It was kind of H. A little H.
That's kind of how their character relationship's always been, whether as a tag team or enemies.
Masha needs to be rescued from this place. She's like a little, like a puppy or a kitty that's kind of had it rough and just needs a new home.
I'm pretty sure within the next 1 to 2 years, she'll probably be in NXT.
Needs to be within the next 1 or 2 minutes. I'll keep my phone. I'll look for updates, see if she gets signed or anything, because this can't happen. Not that this particular thing they're doing right now is so bad, but it's just like,
she deserves better.
Right. So does everybody else. Like, if you think about it, anybody else like that, she would be such a great addition to be able to work a variety of people that could be very interesting, So it's like when you've got when you got exciting new people like Stephanie, Julia, whatever, you add a Masha into that mix, all the potential matches that could be there, along with everybody else. Like, it's just, she's just different. So
I'm
we,
waiting for
we
the
need
Masha.
different.
I'd like to see Masha Sandwich versus Blake Monroe.
I don't know who that is. So Burt Macklin does a promo with, I was going to say music underneath, but it's more of ominous tones for all you Forgetting Sarah Marshall fans. This is definitely an ominous tones promo, but basically he's saying he's holding the line against anyone who wants to cross the line. And it'll be tag 'em, bag 'em, and mayhem for all and all that stuff, he says.
It sounds like they're setting somebody from NXT to challenge him for the international title.
You think?
Of course, I could see. If it were me, honestly, I'd have Trick Williams win it just to put more heat on him.
Just get another belt? Let's talk about
it. I'm taking all your belts.
Why not? It's not a bad idea. It's not any worse than anything else that you could do. I mean, if you're gonna step on TNA or whatever, you might as well wipe your feet on him too. There's no reason why not. So Steph DeLander and Mance Warner come out, and Steph has a microphone and she's yapping. And then now I'm confused on this part because it looked like Mance Warner singled out some security person and was like yelling at him. Did I miss something? What happened here? Why was he starting a fight with somebody? Or why did this whole thing kick off in the first place? I forget. I fully admit that I forget. And I didn't forget. I just didn't pay attention. I didn't rewind it.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of the thing where I was more in chatting with chat. Let me pull it up. Let me pull up the TV report real quick. Sorry.
But essentially, he's like, for some reason, he starts like, because I watched it. It's not that I didn't watch it. I just didn't really understand what was going on based on the sound because I wasn't listening. So like, he looks like he looks at somebody off stage and is like yelling at him. And then the guy's yelling back and then security comes out. And then Mance Warner starts fighting security. And then Tommy Dreamer comes out. And then
this seemed like this 100% and just something to set up for Tommy Dreamer to come out. That's really all this was.
Yeah,
just bad creative to get to Mance versus Tommy. Just really bad creative.
So they don't even have an explanation for it on the write-up of what he did. What the other guy did.
No, he just said like started yelling at a random stage worker, and then he started getting into it with him, and that's when Tommy Dreamer came out.
Okay, so I didn't miss anything. That's exactly what happened. So, yeah, so before he can get down there and shove this guy, security is out there, and then Mance Warner starts fighting security, and then Tommy Dreamer comes out, and he starts fighting Tommy Dreamer, and then Now remember, this is Mance Warner, the crazy guy, right? We know he's crazy. He's clearly crazy.
We've seen it in his.
Yeah, he's a psycho. He's the Southern Psycho. He's definitely had bloody matches with Sami Callihan, and he's been in MLW all this time and whatever, all this crazy stuff he's done, GCW, whatever. And here comes Tommy Dreamer, and he gives him a textbook vertical suplex. Because nothing says unhinged psychopath that's uncontrollable like the most basic wrestling maneuver ever right here randomly on the, like, of all the things you could have done.
And to Tommy Dreamer of all people.
Right. You really want to trust Tommy Dreamer to have to get over on a vertical suplex? I don't get it. But importantly, he attacked security. So this guy needs to definitely be fined and suspended based on a precedent that we set. So if we come back next week and Mance Warner is allowed in the building or otherwise on the program in any way, then because of that reason, and myriad other reasons, this creative's the shits.
Yeah, and the only way you could say that is if you have Santana going to Santino and being like, you playing favorites with your boy Mance?
Exactly. Well, speaking of psychos, Sammy Callahan tries to talk to nobody, but instead he's interrupted by the Armory, and this gets really weird because they're seemingly having a civil conversation, and Eric Young is basically saying like, "I know you don't like what's going on here," and Sammy's like, "Well, I don't like these two flunkies you have here looking at me like this, but I respect you, so I will shake your hand." Okay, whatever. So he shakes his hand, and then he goes to leave, and then Eric Young blindsides him.
And
that's it.
Over under, this is going to lead to like a number one contenders thing where whoever wins this ends up going to face Trick Williams. It'll be like Trick Williams' next challenger.
Trick Williams' next successful defense. It's more like it.
True.
I mean, you should, at any point, regardless of what your plans are for Santana, if you're going to put somebody in Trick Williams' way, you might as well at least make it somebody that we think has a chance, just for entertainment's sake.
And Sammy Callahan and Eric Young are not that guy.
They are not that guy. Well, looks like there's been enough talk. It's time for the main event. It is First Class versus the Hardys. Now, we could bother to tell you what happened in the match, except that we probably both can't do it. And it doesn't matter this time that we can't really relate to you what happened in the match, because the only reason this existed was so that Trick Williams could run in and attack the Hardys and get a DQ. So whatever happened in the match doesn't matter. It was just for this DQ, just so we could get a Joe Henry run in with Elijah, with music. You know, you got to play the music. And then the system runs out. The whole system runs out, and Leon Slater runs out. And there's a big schmoz. So we have a schmoz, and then Leon, like, apparently the baby faces clean house and hold the ring. And then as the heels are all standing conveniently in one location where Leon Slater often likes to do a move where he jumps over the ring post and dives on people, they all gather right there in that spot, which would be perfect for Leon Slater to jump on them and dive on them. And what do you think happened?
He hit a strike, pal.
Holy shit. That's the end of TNA Impact. A hell of an episode.
I think there might have been enough people out there for it to be a strike.
Almost. Well, let's see. What's the system? Was Lish there? Does that count?
Yeah, if system with Lish, that's 5, I think.
Mm-hmm. And
we
have,
and then system, and then Trick Williams First Class, that'd have been 8.
Yeah, that's 8.
Were there any baby faces in that group? Or were they all in the ring?
Was there a security hand holding a screwdriver?
Yeah, he needs to sue Leon.
Yeah. He shoved him down with a flying body attack. Yeah, I don't know. It's close though. I mean, we'll just say they picked up the spare. Leon picked up the spare. Yeah. So what did I like on this show? Not a damn thing, I want to say. Basically, this episode was as much of a rib as the gimmick injury report. I'm definitely disappointed, a little embarrassed. frustrated. It's very lazy. A lot of laziness here. You look like you were about to say something.
I just remembered something. There is a bit piece of news that I just read today that Ariana Grace is no longer going to be part of TNA, or not going to appear on TNA. Apparently, that whole thing is done now.
Oh shit.
Yeah, I'm not having. Yeah, I thought that was one of the better parts of the show. It was her and her dad interacting.
Well, now, like over on NXT, they had her in like
And a
a
heel
get
spot.
like somebody else's get over match. It was what's her name? The Olympic gold medalist, Tyra May Steele.
Yeah,
That's what they're calling her.
Yeah, isn't it the woman the woman who won the LFG?
Yep. I don't know which one's more prestigious, LFG or an Olympic gold medal, but she won it. Um. So yeah, so for some reason they tapped her to just start acting like a heel again, and this is the blind leading the blind. I'm sorry to say. Like Ariana Grace is good for her age and her experience level, and she's got some definite strong points about her skills.
Like
But
the Met,
what
like
she
oh sorry, like
what she
match.
doesn't have, is the ability to do what you need to do to make a new talent look good. Yeah, excuse me. Go ahead.
Yeah, like the match with her and Tessa, like that. That was kind of her following Tessa's lead.
Yeah. So that's unfortunate for us, but it also highlights the fact of like even whatever TNA wants to do, WWE's not really that on board with it. They'll just turn left abruptly. Like just whatever. We're doing this. So I don't know, man. It's I can definitely say that as far as this quote unquote partnership goes, it's definitely good that it's happening at all, but they're not exactly like taking full advantage of like all the possibilities that they could have from doing something like this. They're not having any fun with it. They're like doing the barest of minimums, if not potentially doing a little bit of damage.
Well, I think part of that problem is NXT is kind of turned into almost like it's a centralized hub for all the different universes under the WWE umbrella. Like you see, like we got AAA stuff happening in NXT, we got TNA stuff happening in NXT, we got the main NXT storylines going on, we got people from the main roster showing up there, we got LFG Evolve popping up in there. And I think it's getting a little bit crowded, and you don't really have enough time to give each one its proper time to be creative and come up with good stuff for it. Like you got you can't like if you got all these different universes intersecting in NXT, you don't really have a lot of time to devote to each, to like say if it was just NXT and TNA.
No, that's a good point. However, and I certainly wouldn't want to be tasked with it. Like I don't envy those people having to come up with stuff, but at the same time, if that's the case, it's not that you have to think necessarily about oh, well, how are we going to make this, how are we going to weave this into a complicated, web of intrigue or whatever. It's just whatever you are going to do. If you're just selecting a talent to come in and work a program with another talent, you can't even do that in a satisfactory way. I'm not even asking you to tie this into everything else that, is going on in the world. I just want the one person that you bring in to get the proper showcase or spotlight or whatever before they move on to the next thing in their own company. So it really just seems like at this point, it just seems like, well, who can we have our people go over on, and let's bring them in because we're tired of going over on our own people. That's really all it seems like so far. And it's not getting anybody over. Certainly not anybody from the outside companies, and really nobody from NXT either.
Yeah, I think the only major time I could think of somebody from TNA going over was like Joe Hendry in that 3-way, and Wentz over Wesley for the X Division title when he was champion. But yeah, like pretty much it's kind of doing the job.
Right. So you had an opportunity to spark some real creative things, and even before they were using Evolve people, LFG people, which LFG people aren't even that doesn't count because they were already. That's the whole rib of that whole thing. It was like talking about the winner gets a contract. Motherfucker, I've seen these people already wrestle for NXT. What do you mean a contract? Don't work me. I know they have contracts already. So why are they having to compete on a show? Like you're doing tough enough with contracted talent? What the Christ is that?
It's like the reverse of the original Tough Enough. Everybody ends up getting a contract, including the winner.
Yeah. Which one of you is good enough to make it off of Next Level or whatever that show's called? Which got canceled, I guess. So I don't know, man. I don't know what anybody's doing. But TNA can't even keep their own house clean. It'd be different if we were talking about them being on fire before the WWE partnership and then the fire fizzling out. You could say WWE stomped it out, but you can't. You can't say that.
Yeah, if anything, the partnership has helped them because that's when they started seeing like their metrics go up.
Right. But the TV show is still bad. So I don't know. All I can say is that we'll be here to tell you about it. So with that in mind, I think it's time we let everybody go home. You're all free now. You've been watching Monday Night Raw anyway, but you can go back to that because you guys just didn't hit pause. You just kept on watching. You sons of bitches. But anyway, that's fine. I understand. Appreciate you all. We'll tell you when you're not watching Monday Night Raw where you could find us. Brandon, where can the people find you, and what do you got going on this week?
As always, you can find me on Twitter, or as the kids call it these days, the X at LG Brandon Whoop. I am also on Twitch at twitch.tv/LG Brandon Whoop Whoop. Guaranteed every Wednesday night after the Dynamite watch along, and sporadically throughout the week. And this week, we got coming up tomorrow, we got the late start NXT watch along, which will start right after the A show. Wednesday week, of course, we got the Dynamite watch along and belt count. Thursday, Impact watch along and belt count. Friday, SmackDown watch along and belt count. Saturday, HMG After Dark. It's going to be an 80s movie. Not 100% sure which one. I'm kind of leaning towards Back to the Future. Haven't seen that in a while.
Well, we did reference it tonight, so.
Then again, now that I'm thinking Michael J. Fox, like Teen Wolf's kind of sounding pretty good too.
What about Black Dynamite?
That one.
I feel like you keep not watching it.
It's just one I haven't seen it before, and I really should. I just feel a lot more. I've been having a lot more fun going back and watching movies I have not seen in a long time. Like when I saw The Goonies this past Saturday, that was probably one of the most fun HMG After Darks I've done. Period. And it's just kind of going back, and it's kind of the mood I'm in the moment.
All right. Well, then if it feels good, stay on that train. Um, and that's it for everything you got going on.
Oh yeah, and we got Sunday HMG After Dark. We're going to be doing. We're gonna pick, I'm not sure which one we're gonna pick him back up with, but it's going to be Trailer Park Boys or Shorzy.
Okay. Well, I'm at Opinion Haver on all the social medias. I'm at HMG on the shows that I do. You know that Wrestling with Rogers is every Friday. You know that the Stevie Richards show is every Friday. You know that Limpin' Ain't Easy is on every Wednesday. So, with that being said, that's where you can find me. That's where you can find us. Thank you for another lovely evening. And for Brandon, I'm the vet, and I don't have a sign off line.